Today, we're going to break down a really touching story about a family that's all living together in one house. It's about how those little, quiet spaces between people can, over time, grow into these huge emotional canyons. And, more importantly, how sometimes the simplest little thing can build a bridge right back to each other.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Strangers under one roof. It's a crazy thought, but it's something a lot of families are actually dealing with today. You're so physically close, but emotionally, you couldn't be farther apart. So how did they get here? To really get it, we've got to go back to the very beginning.
You know, every story about people drifting apart has to start with a time when they were close. So let's start there, with the Prasad family, in a home where harmony, well, it was once the bedrock of their entire life.
Okay, so at the heart of our story, you've got Mohan and Savitri Prasad. They're this couple who built their entire family on love and tradition. And they raised their two sons, Kaushal and Kapil, with this one central idea, that you trust your parents' wisdom above all else.
And this trust was, it was absolute. So much so that when it was time to get married, both sons just went with their parents' choices, no questions asked. And pretty soon, two new daughters-in-law, Neelam and Kasam, joined the household. The whole picture of a perfect, happy, united family. It seemed totally complete.
But of course, that perfect picture didn't last forever. And the change, it wasn't some big explosion, it was this slow, quiet drift. For 10 whole years, they lived that ideal life. Then came the first tiny crack, a request for a little more privacy. And just 5 years after that, they weren't really a family anymore, just separate islands, all living in the same house.
And that brings us to the next chapter of their story, the part about growing distances, breaking hearts. This is where those little cracks start to get wider and become really painful divides, and they're felt most deeply by the people who started this family in the first place.
This was the request that started to change everything. The daughters-in-law, they presented it as, a modern need for privacy. They even promised Savitri that the family's love wouldn't change at all. And Savitri, she was torn, right? Torn between tradition and wanting to be an understanding mother-in-law. So she said yes, even though she had a bad feeling about it.
But as the years went by, that promise of unchanged love, it just kind of evaporated. The family dinner, which used to be the cornerstone of their whole day, became this lonely little ritual for Mohan and Savitri. Night after night, they'd set the table, they'd wait, and then they'd end up eating alone. It's such a quiet, painful symbol of how they were becoming less and less important in their own kids' lives.
And this right here, this moment, just shows you how broken the communication had become. Savitri offers to make kachoris, but what she's really offering is connection, a memory, right? But her son, Kapil, he doesn't hear that. All he hears is an inconvenient request that gets in the way of his modern, busy life.
And then the subtext just becomes text. It's devastating. After another invitation to dinner, the sons just say it, bluntly. They'd rather have a quiet night with Netflix than spend any time with their parents. And for Mohan and Savitri, this isn't just about a meal. This is a rejection of them.
So this led to a huge, tragic misunderstanding. In this final desperate move to try and force some kind of interaction, Mohan and Savitri started complaining about the food being sent up to them. But their sons, they just heard nagging. They heard pickiness. What they completely missed was the real message underneath it all. A desperate, heartbreaking cry for company.
But just when it feels like all hope is totally lost, this unexpected force enters the story, the grandchildren. They've only ever known this fractured home, but they start to see the one thing their own parents have been completely blind to.
So it all kicks off when Rahul and Pinky hear their moms, Neelam and Kusum, just venting their frustrations. They're hearing the adult side of the story, that their grandparents have become difficult and impossible to please when it comes to food.
But here's the thing. Unlike their parents, the kids have this different kind of wisdom. Pinky says out loud what they're both feeling, that whatever's happening now doesn't just erase a whole lifetime of love. They're showing this empathy and loyalty that's been totally missing from the conversation.
And then comes the big moment. Standing outside their grandparents' door, Rahul and Pinky finally hear the truth. They overhear their grandparents, through tears, confessing that the complaints were never ever about the food. It was all just a flawed, desperate plan to get their sons to come downstairs and just talk to them.
So armed with this new understanding, they come up with a plan. And honestly, it's so simple, it's brilliant. Pinky is going to cook Maggi, a simple noodle dish, for the very first time. They just know that the novelty of it all will be an irresistible magnet for the entire family.
Rahul even offers up his life savings from his piggy bank to buy the ingredients. The goal is just so pure: get everyone in the same room again.
And that brings us to the final act, the family reunited by Maggie. So the big question is, can this simple plan, hatched by 2 kids and fueled by instant noodles, really heal a wound that's been festering for 15 years?
And you know what? It works. It works perfectly. Just like the kids thought, the news that Pinky is cooking for the first time is just too interesting to ignore. One by one, the sons, the daughters-in-law, everyone trickles down into the old kitchen, drawn in by curiosity. And for the first time in years, the entire family is standing in the same room.
And seeing her whole family there, Savitri's eyes just fill with tears of joy, and she finally says what's been in her heart this whole time. It was never about the food. It was always about this moment, this simple, profound joy of having her family all together again.
And hearing her say that, all the pieces finally click into place for Kaushal and Kapil. They get it. They finally see their own neglect, and they admit that the stress from work and their own busy lives had totally blinded them to how lonely their parents were. They apologize, and right there, the healing begins.
So, what can we take away from all this? Well, this story leaves us with some pretty powerful reminders. It shows us that real communication can fix almost any gap, and that a tiny gesture, like a simple bowl of noodles, can say way more than years of silence. But maybe the biggest lesson is that empathy and wisdom, they can come from the most unexpected places.
And in the end, we're left with a question that really turns the story back onto all of us. You know, a family's dinner table often tells the story of its heart. Is it a place of connection, or is it a place of absence? This story really asks us to listen, really closely, to the tale that's being told at our own.